Our team of my speed colleagues, we're going to tell these 4 stories of new beginnings in '09, starting with Steve Burns, who sat down with the rejuvenated Mark Martin.
Mark, why the decision to come back after 2 years of running a limited schedule? You said you enjoyed your time away, you enjoyed your being able to pick and choose a little bit. Was it Rick Hendrick? Was it the opportunity to win a championship? What were was it one factor, several factors, and how long did it take you to make that decision?
That's a very complex question to answer. I think if you really wanted to make it short, you'd have to say Rick Hendrick 5-car. I wouldn't do it for anyone else, any other car on the circuit, and I wouldn't consider it at the 5 at first. Rick asked me more than once, and I told him, no to a full-time deal before I had a chance to absorb, really what that opportunity was. It doesn't have anything to do with the championship. It does have a lot to do with winning races. I had a chance to do some soul searching, and I realized that there's nothing in the world that will take the place of what racing does in my life, I don't think. And I've been so incredibly happy in 2007 and 2008 driving the limited schedule with the wonderful teams and opportunity and very competitive cars, that it's just not something that what am I going to do? Sit on the couch? And at this stage of the game, having fun is important to me. Didn't used to be, but I've gotten older and matured a little bit, I think, and I think that today it is important to have fun.
Mark, what are your expectations for the season? When you think about this season, do you just look at the race in front of you, or do you think of it as a body of work, of a season?
We really want to make the chase. I don't want to talk about championships. I think it's ridiculous to talk about championships. I talked about them for 20 years. Don't want to talk about them anymore. Want to make the chase and see if we can score enough points that for the last 3 or 4 races, then we'll talk. One of the things that made this really happen was I talked to Rick about sharing the car, splitting the season like I was doing at the 8-car last year, and that's how I let my heart get wrapped around driving the 5-car, and we discussed that for about 6 weeks. And then when it came down to, all or nothing, and I always said if it was all or nothing, I would choose nothing. I had my heart wrapped around this, and Jeff Gordon is a great salesman. He's a little bit of a friend of mine, but he's a great salesman. And no doubt Rick Hendrick is a tremendous salesman because, these guys really changed my mind, and I'm so grateful to both of them for doing that.
Do you know in your mind, or perhaps you and Rick as a team, is this going to be a 1-year situation? Have you crossed that bridge? Do you know how long you want to run the entire schedule?
I've thought a little bit about, I know those questions are coming, and I've thought a little bit about how I'm going to answer those, and I think I'm going to answer them by saying I'm not ready to discuss that at this time. I love racing, but I don't want to race in the back of the pack, and I will walk away if that's what what my career is reduced to.
Still ahead, don't expect Tony Stewart to answer car owner questions at the track. He'll be wearing his driver's hat on weekends. Thank you very much. Chip Ganassi defends his new business partner, Teresa Earnhardt. The car owner fans love to hate.
I find that a little distasteful. I think she's committed to the sport. I think it's great.
And we'll have more with Mark Martin right after the break, including his opinion on the strongest driver in NASCAR. Stay tuned.
Mark, a lot of your fellow racers compliment you as being a professional. A lot of the young guys have said you're a great mentor. You're stepping into a situation now where Jimmy Johnson has won 3 consecutive championships. Jeff Gordon's won an awful lot of races. Dale Earnhardt Jr., you would think is right at the peak of his career, or certainly in a great spot. What do you bring to the table to Hendrick Motorsports, or what perhaps are your expectations of how that teamwork is going to work?
It sounds to me like I'm a ball and chain to this. This is kind of what it sounds like to me. I don't know. I absolutely don't know why Rick, pursued me as hard as he did. But it is definitely, the greatest compliment that I can remember ever having. And these guys, Jimmy and Jeff and Junior have all, been very supportive of having me come there. And I want to be able to somehow or another make them better. And I want everybody to be better by me being there. That's a lot to say. I don't know how it's going to work out, to be honest with you. I have to get up every day and look in the mirror knowing that I have to measure myself against the best in history. Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who I think is the strongest man, the broadest, strongest shoulders of any race car driver I've ever known in my entire life. So these guys have a lot of strength. I don't know what I can bring to the table, but I'm willing to work at it.
What's the better story if you're Rick Hendrick or Hendrick Motorsports? Jimmy Johnson wins his 4th championship in a row. Jeff Gordon finally earns his 5th career Cup title and first since 2001. Dale Earnhardt Jr. earns his first Cup title, or Mark Martin, who's finished 2nd in the points 4 times, wins his first championship.
They all sound pretty good, don't they? They really do. All tremendous stories. Well, I'm supposed to say, me winning my first championship, but, I really won't allow myself to think about that, because I don't want to be disappointed. I want to give the best effort that I can possibly give and do everything that is humanly possible. And then I will accept, whatever result I get rather than trying to wish the results. I don't believe in wishing results. I believe in working for them.
I've always admired your intensity. Back in the old days, the good old days, there was a gym right near the water, and I'd meet you over there some mornings early, about 5 or 5:30, and I can remember asking you the question. You were in such fantastic shape, and you still are today. I said, Mark, you're in such great shape. Why do you continue to work out this hard? I remember you said, you don't understand. I can't quit. I have to do this.
I'm addicted to my program, and I look forward to getting started racing so that I'll spend a little less time in the gym. Right now, that's the only thing I can do to help my team. I feel like I'm physically the best I've ever been, bar none, and without question, mentally I am tougher and more prepared than I ever have been. And the last 2 years has a lot to do with that mental and physical preparation, both. But especially the mental preparation. I want to do this. I want to drive that car. I want to be at the racetrack around, that's where my friends are. That's where the fans are. That's where my life has been for 35 years. And that's where I want to be.
I think what pleases me most about watching that interview is seeing Mark Martin smile that much. Steve Burns, for most of his career, he has been an obsessed racer and a frustrated guy, and A leads to B, frustrated because of the obsession. Do you think that this new beginning is going to be less obsessive or frustrating?
For a little while. And you're right. Mark is obsessive, by his own admission, obsessive, compulsive, often frustrated, a victim of his own success. But we talked prior